Imagine a country where a 5-hour drive across a bay collapses into just 45 minutes, where a city rises from the ocean itself, where underground trains zip silently beneath streets that were once paralyzed by the worst traffic in Southeast Asia. That country is the Philippines, and what is happening there right now is nothing short of extraordinary. This is not a distant dream or a political promise buried in some government report. These are real projects, with real money, real concrete, and real deadlines. The Philippines is in the middle of the most ambitious building spree in its entire history, and the scale of what is being constructed will redefine the archipelago for the next 100 years. Today, we're going to take you through the 10 biggest megaprojects currently reshaping the Philippines from the ground up, one jaw-dropping structure at a time. Segment 1. To understand why these megaprojects matter so much, you have to understand where the Philippines is coming from. For decades, the country's infrastructure lagged behind its faster-growing neighbors in Southeast Asia. Metro Manila, one of the most densely populated urban areas on Earth, became synonymous with gridlock so severe that it cost the economy an estimated $3.5 billion a year in lost productivity. Commuters spent 3 to 4 hours each day stuck in traffic, a daily reality that drained energy, time, and economic potential from millions of working Filipinos. International businesses looked at the clogged roads, the aging airports, and the unreliable power supply and chose Vietnam, Indonesia, or Thailand instead. The infrastructure deficit was not just an inconvenience. It was a ceiling placed on the entire country's potential. That ceiling is now being demolished, quite literally, by the biggest wave of construction the Philippines has ever seen. The government's Build Better More program lists 185 infrastructure flagship projects with a combined estimated cost of around 9.6 trillion Philippine pesos. That figure is almost incomprehensible. It is not just roads and bridges. It is railways, airports, subway systems, entire smart cities reclaimed from the sea, renewable energy grids stretching across islands, and economic zones designed to pull investment from across the globe. The construction sector alone now contributes 7.7% of the country's gross domestic product as of the first half of 2025, up from 6.8% just a year before. The Philippines is not just building, it is transforming. The first of our 10 megaprojects is the new Manila International Airport, also known as the Bulacan International Airport or the new Manila Aerotropolis, and it is the single most expensive infrastructure project in Philippine history. Built by San Miguel Corporation with a price tag hovering around 735 billion pesos, this is not simply an airport. It is an entirely new city built around one. Situated on a 2,500-hectare property in Bulacan Province north of Metro Manila, the Aerotropolis is designed to eventually handle up to 200 million passengers per year. To put that number in perspective, that is triple the current capacity of Ninoy Aquino International Airport, the aging gateway to Manila that has long been ranked among the most congested and outdated airports in the world. The vision behind this project goes far beyond terminals and runways. The entire development will include new neighborhoods, commercial business hubs, a seaport, and green open spaces that rival what you find in cities like Hong Kong, Singapore, and Sydney. It is being designed as a green city of the future, with sustainability baked into its bones from the very first architectural drawing. The project is structured as a build-operate-transfer arrangement, meaning San Miguel Corporation will develop and run the facility before eventually transferring it to the Philippine government. When complete, this Aerotropolis will reposition the Philippines as a major aviation hub for all of Asia, not just as a transit stop, but as a destination economy in its own right. The second megaproject on our list is the Metro Manila Subway, the Philippines' first ever underground railway system, and it is a project that Filipinos have been dreaming about for generations. Funded heavily by the Japan International Cooperation Agency at a cost of around 357 billion pesos, this subway stretches 33 kilometers from Valenzuela in the north all the way down to Ninoy Aquino International Airport, Terminal 3 in the south. It will have 17 stations and is designed to carry approximately 370,000 passengers every single day. Once operational, it will slash commute times for hundreds of thousands of people who currently spend enormous portions of their lives crawling through Metro Manila's notorious gridlock. Segment 2. The construction of the Metro Manila subway represents a seismic cultural shift for a country that has relied on jeepneys and buses as its primary mode of urban transport for most of its modern history. These underground stations are being built with modern air conditioning, digital ticketing systems, and passenger capacities that dwarf anything currently operating on Manila's surface-level transit lines. The project has faced delays linked to complex underground engineering in a densely built urban environment, but it remains on track to begin partial operations by 2027. For a city of over 13 million people with one of the worst traffic records in Asia, this subway is not a luxury. It is a lifeline, and it will arrive not a moment too soon. Third on our list is the Bataan-Cavite Interlink Bridge, a project that sounds almost fantastical the first time you hear about it. Picture a 32-kilometer cable-stayed bridge stretching across Manila Bay, connecting the province of Bataan in central Luzon with the province of Cavite south of Manila. A drive that currently takes 5 to 6 hours because you have to loop all the way around the bay will be reduced to just 45 minutes. The bridge is being developed with support from the Asian Development Bank at a cost of approximately 175 billion pesos, and construction is set to begin in earnest in 2025, with a targeted completion around 2030. It is a 4-lane structure, and its economic implications stretch far beyond simple travel time savings. What makes this bridge truly transformative is the way it will rewire the economic geography of the entire Luzon Island group. Right now, central Luzon and the Calabarzon region are effectively separated by the bay, forcing goods, workers, and investment to take long, costly detours around it. Once the bridge opens, it will create a direct corridor between two of the Philippines' most productive industrial and agricultural regions, unlocking new supply chains, reducing logistics costs, and making previously remote coastal municipalities suddenly attractive for commercial and residential development. Land values along the bridge corridor are already beginning to climb as investors position themselves ahead of the opening. This is the kind of infrastructure that does not just save time. It creates entirely new economic possibilities. The fourth megaproject is MRT-7, the Mass Rapid Transit Line 7, which is also being developed by San Miguel Corporation. This elevated rail line stretches 22 kilometers from North Avenue in Quezon City up through Commonwealth Avenue to San Jose del Monte in Bulacan. It will have 14 stations and is expected to reduce travel time along one of Metro Manila's most congested corridors from roughly 2 hours to just 35 minutes. Partial operations with 12 stations are targeted for late 2025, with full operations expected sometime in 2026 or 2027. Commonwealth Avenue, often called the Republic of the Philippines' widest road, is ironically one of its most gridlocked, and MRT-7 is the engineering answer to that long-standing paradox. The fifth project is one of the most futuristic on this entire list. Harbor City, sometimes called the Manhattan of Manila Bay, is a 265-hectare eco-smart city being reclaimed from the waters of Manila Bay itself. Designed with both blue and green infrastructure principles at its core, Harbor City will leverage the city's waterways while also restoring the bay's natural ecosystems through extensive greenery and sustainable design. The development is not just about building upward. It is about building intelligently with smart grids, green transport systems, and renewable energy infrastructure woven throughout. 2 of the 3 planned reclaimed islands are already taking shape, and the completed city is envisioned as a world-class urban destination that can compete with the most innovative new developments anywhere in Asia. Harbor City is part of a broader and deeply ambitious movement to reclaim land from Manila Bay and use it to build entirely new urban districts. The most sweeping of these is the new Manila Bay City of Pearl, a 50 billion peso development that will reclaim 407 hectares along the bay's shoreline to construct a futuristic smart city. This project is designed with eco-friendly buildings, green transport systems, smart grids, and energy powered by renewable sources, including solar and ocean energy. Once completed, it will provide homes, offices, and leisure spaces crafted specifically to draw both local and international investors. The city will be integrated with mass transit systems, making it seamlessly connected to the rest of Metro Manila and to the new international airport in Bulacan. It represents a vision of urban living that is cleaner, smarter, and more sustainable than anything the Philippines has previously attempted. Our seventh megaproject is the North-South Commuter Railway, one of the longest rail infrastructure projects in the country's history. This 163-kilometer line stretches from New Clark City in Pampanga all the way down to Calamba in Laguna, passing through the heart of Metro Manila. It is expected to carry over 1 million passengers per day once fully operational, reviving a culture of rail travel in the Philippines that dates back to the Spanish colonial era but was gradually abandoned through the 20th century. The project is being funded in partnership with Japan and the Asian Development Bank and represents one of the most significant public transport investments in the entire region. A separate but connected component is the Malolos-Clark Railway, a 53-kilometer line connecting Malolos in Bulacan to Clark's Economic Zone and Clark International Airport in Pampanga. Together, these rail corridors will create a spine of rapid, reliable mass transit running from the economic zones of northern Luzon all the way through the capital region and into the booming corridor of Calabarzon in the south. Property developers are already repositioning entire master-planned communities around future station locations, and economists predict that the full activation of this rail network will accelerate the decentralization of Manila's economy, encouraging businesses and residents to spread out into cities like San Fernando, Malolos, Santa Rosa, and Calamba. The Philippines does not just need Metro Manila to grow. It needs the entire country to grow, and this rail network is the skeleton of that future national economy. The eighth megaproject takes us into the world of renewable energy on a scale that is almost hard to believe. The Philippine Department of Energy has unveiled a 10-year green energy auction roadmap targeting at least 25 trillion pesos in renewable energy investments to deliver 25 gigawatts of new generating capacity by 2035. This is not one project, but a sweeping transformation of the entire national energy system. Solar farms, wind farms, hydroelectric developments, geothermal projects, and offshore energy installations are all part of the mix. In 2025 alone, the Board of Investments approved 1.56 trillion pesos across 322 projects, with the energy sector leading at 970 billion pesos and overwhelmingly focused on renewables. The urgency behind this energy mega-program is easy to understand when you look at the problem it is trying to solve. The Philippines currently has some of the highest electricity rates in all of Southeast Asia, a reality that discourages both household investment and industrial development. Frequent power outages and aging grid infrastructure, particularly in provincial areas outside Metro Manila and Calabarzon, have forced businesses to rely on expensive diesel generators for decades. By flooding the market with new renewable generating capacity, the government hopes to drive electricity prices down substantially, making the country more competitive as an investment destination and improving quality of life for millions of ordinary Filipinos who currently pay too much for power that is too unreliable. The ninth project on our list is the Makati Intracity Subway, an 11-kilometer rapid underground transit line being developed by Philippine Infradev Holdings Incorporated that will connect different parts of the Makati Central Business District, the Philippines' premier financial hub. Unlike the Metro Manila Subway, which is a regional connector, this line is specifically designed to move people efficiently within Makati itself, reducing the maddeningly slow traffic that clogs the district's streets even outside traditional rush hours. The project is expected to boost the city's economic productivity by 24.4 billion pesos annually once operational, with a target date of 2026. For the thousands of office workers, hotel guests, and shoppers who navigate Makati every day, this subway will transform the experience of moving through one of Asia's most important business centers. The 10th megaproject is the Sanglay Point International Airport in Cavite, a project that has had a complex and at times controversial journey toward realization, but remains one of the most strategically significant aviation infrastructure developments in the Philippines. Located at Sanglay Point in Cavite City, this new international airport is intended to serve as a major relief valve for the overcrowded Ninoy Aquino International Airport and to support aviation demand across the southern Metro Manila and Cavite corridor. Phase 1 of the project, including 2 runways and terminal buildings, began in March 2022. The consortium behind the development includes Cavitex Holdings, House of Investments, Samsung C&T, Macroasia Corporation, Munich Airport International, and OVE Arab and Partners, bringing together Filipino, Korean, and international expertise. What is remarkable about Sanglay is its location. Unlike NAIA, which is hemmed in on all sides by dense urban development, Sanglay sits on a peninsula jutting into Manila Bay, giving it room to expand in ways that NAIA simply cannot. The key infrastructure requirement that will determine Sanglay's success is a reliable road and transit link to Metro Manila, and that connection is already being planned. World capitals like Tokyo, London, and Paris operate multiple international airports serving different parts of their metropolitan regions, and Manila, with its massive and growing population, is now building toward that same model of distributed aviation capacity. Sanglay will not replace NAIA immediately, but over the next decade it will grow into an aviation gateway powerful enough to reshape how both travelers and cargo move through the southern Philippines. Stepping back from these individual projects and looking at the full picture, what emerges is a country at an extraordinary inflection point. For so long, the narrative about the Philippines on the world stage focused on its challenges. The traffic, the poverty, the inequality between a small, wealthy elite and the vast majority of working Filipinos, the corruption, the lack of investment. But the megaprojects underway today tell a fundamentally different story, one where the Philippine state and the country's most powerful private conglomerates are betting trillions of pesos on a future that looks dramatically different from the past. Whether those bets pay off in full depends on execution, on governance, on the willingness of successive administrations to protect the long-term public interest over short-term political calculations. The construction sector's rise to 7.7% of GDP in the first half of 2025 is not just a statistic. It represents hundreds of thousands of Filipino workers employed in building the country's future infrastructure. It represents engineering firms developing new capabilities. It represents international partners, from Japan to South Korea to multilateral development banks, placing confidence in the Philippines as a place worth investing in. Every kilometer of subway tunnel bored beneath Manila, every pylon of the Bataan-Cavite bridge anchored into the seabed, every solar panel installed as part of the national energy transition adds a building block to a Philippines that is more connected, more competitive, and more capable of giving its people the quality of life they deserve. The Philippines has one of the youngest populations in Asia. Its median age is just around 25 years old, and its workforce is growing rapidly just as the labor forces of countries like Japan, South Korea, and China are aging and shrinking. This demographic dividend is an extraordinary asset, but only if the country can create enough high-quality jobs, provide reliable infrastructure, and build the kind of urban environments that attract the industries of the 21st century. The megaprojects we have walked through today are the essential foundation for exactly that. Without fast, reliable mass transit, young workers cannot reach the jobs available across a sprawling metropolitan region. Without modern airports, the Philippines cannot compete for the growing flow of tourists, investors, and business travelers moving through Asia. Without affordable, clean energy, the country cannot keep the lights on for the factories, tech parks, and call centers that employ millions. Every single one of these megaprojects faces challenges. The right-of-way disputes that delayed MRT-7 for years are the norm, not the exception, in a densely populated country where acquiring land for public infrastructure is legally and socially complicated. Budget reallocations, shifting political priorities, contractor disputes, and the ever-present risk of corruption all add friction to projects that are already enormously complex from a purely engineering standpoint. Building a 33-kilometer underground railway beneath one of the world's most densely packed cities is one of the most technically demanding undertakings in modern civil engineering. Building an Aerotropolis on 2,500 hectares of land in Bulacan, while simultaneously managing environmental concerns, community relocations, and the logistical demands of building an entire city from scratch requires a level of sustained organizational capacity that tests even the most capable institutions. And yet the momentum is undeniable. Manila Bay's skyline is already changing. The elevated structures of rail projects are visible from expressways that did not exist a generation ago. New expressways now link provinces that were once effectively isolated from the capital. International media that once wrote primarily about the Philippines' challenges are now running features on its emergence as a significant infrastructure story in Asia. The Asian Development Bank, the Japan International Cooperation Agency, South Korean construction giants, and global engineering consultancies are all deeply invested in Philippine projects, bringing with them technology, expertise, and financing structures that the country could not have accessed on its own a decade ago. What these megaprojects also represent, perhaps most importantly, is a profound statement about national ambition. There is something deeply meaningful about a people deciding, collectively and through the actions of their institutions, that the future can be radically better than the present. Filipinos have long been known for their resilience, for their ability to endure hardship and emerge smiling. But resilience has sometimes been romanticized as an alternative to progress rather than as a companion to it. These megaprojects signal something beyond resilience. They signal determination. A determination to stop accepting inadequate infrastructure as an inevitable feature of Philippine life and to build, at significant expense and with enormous effort, the physical foundations of a genuinely prosperous society. The 185 infrastructure flagship projects under the Build Better More program are not all equally transformative, and not all will be completed on schedule. That is the reality of megaproject development everywhere in the world, not just in the Philippines. But even if a third of these projects are delayed by several years, the net effect on the country's infrastructure stock over the next decade will still be historic. The Philippines in 2035 will simply be a different country physically from the Philippines of 2015. Its cities will be more connected. Its airports will be more modern. Its energy will be cheaper and cleaner. Its sea lanes and land corridors will carry goods more efficiently. And its young, talented, English-speaking workforce will have a far better platform from which to compete in the global economy. The world is watching the Philippines right now, and what it is seeing is a country that has decided it is done waiting. Done waiting for the traffic to ease on its own. Done waiting for foreign investors to arrive without first making the country worth investing in. Done waiting for someone else to build the infrastructure that every modern economy requires. The concrete is being poured. The tunnels are being bored. The islands are being reclaimed. The towers are going up. And somewhere in all of that construction noise, in the roar of the machinery and the hum of the cranes, you can hear something that sounds a lot like a nation finally, unmistakably, building its way into the future it has always deserved. The Philippines is rising. And the projects you have seen here today are exactly how it is doing it.